Hey everybody, this is Trisha with Easy Emini Trade, and I wanted to go over some Ichimoku trades that could have been taken today on many different time frames, tick frames, etc. This way you can put into practice what we went over during the webinar on Thursday. And if you didn't attend the webinar on Thursday, then you can still get the recording. I'll leave it up for a few days. You can still go to my site, easyemintrade.com, and choose the webinar recording tab, and the info for getting it is right there. So like I said, I'll leave it up there for a few days, and I think that you'll find it pretty useful. Otherwise, you can do a search on the internet and find many videos on the subject, and I'm not going to go into what Ichimoku is, etc. If you want more info, you can check out the webinar, okay? But here are some great examples for today. So this is the NQ that you're looking at, and you can use the indicators for the Ichimoku on any instrument, any time frame, tick frame, any market, equities, Forex, whatever you like, and apply it. So this is very early. This is on a 4-tick range chart as mentioned on the NQ, and we get a close outside the cloud here to the top side, but it's a little too early for me to want to do anything. This is at 9:31, so I'm not interested in that. Here I just want to point out, notice how price holds the cloud there, and you'll find that the cloud will hold as support and resistance very often. So I'm not, again, going to go into great detail on how the indicators work and so forth. I'm just going to try to point out many examples today. So there's a close outside the cloud. I've got the close here from yesterday. I've got the pivot point here. I say yesterday, but from Friday. I've got the 50% Globex right in that same area. Here we get a close outside the cloud. I'm not too interested in that. You also get one here. I'm not interested in that because it's right under the close from yesterday. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get stuck there, so I pass. Here we get a short, a close outside the cloud just above the close and the 50% area. And you could always just look to the left and see the areas that previously held and decide to take that. If this had set up under the close and the 50%, I would have been very interested in that. So that was a pass for me. Here you can see that we start to consolidate sideways, and this is about 9:45 in that time area somewhere. And here this bar holds in the exact same area earlier this morning, pre-market. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be willing to take a Chico line breakdown with the hope of it finding its way down to 3,500. So keep in mind this Chico line is always plotting 26 periods behind. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the Chico line to break below the support line that I drew, and then I'm looking for the bar that gives me that. I'm looking for an entry a tick under that bar. So that actually happens right here at 9:46. So we get in, and it works out, finds its way down to the 3,500 area. This is not anything that we took because it was right on news, and it was a counter channel setup, but not interested in that. Actually, I think it was a 3 Amigo. Then I'll give you a couple more examples on this chart, and then I can show you on some of the other time frames. Here we get a close outside the top end of the cloud, and we've got the floor trader pivot point just above our head, same area as 5-minute low. Not interested in that for myself. Also keep in mind we have the Chico line hanging out under the cloud, so not the best environment to try to take a buy with that. This was a counter channel setup, not interested in that, into 3,500. So then we're looking for price to consolidate so we can possibly take another Chico line breakdown or breakout. And I'm just kind of scrolling here so I can get to where we're looking for here. Here you can see price consolidated sideways. So I'm looking for a break of this white line here in this area here. But let me just make this bigger so you guys can see it here. So looking for a break of that. And keep in mind, the Chico line forms 26 periods behind, okay? So let me just get rid of this here. And once again, I'm not looking for a close outside the cloud as a buy. Here we get closed outside the cloud on the underside, but keep in mind, when you have a really narrow cloud, you're going to find that you're going to get closes above and below, and also you can have one bar that closes above and below. So not interested in that. What I'm looking for is a break of this white line here. So we get our Chico line to break right here. And this is the bar that gives it to us right there. And so you would enter in under that bar there. And I actually got in late and I got stopped out. The actual entry was where I have this white line, and I didn't get in until this red line. So unfortunately I got stopped out, but if you got in where you're supposed to, it worked out okay. So then I have to wait for a new breakdown. And you can see right here in this area here, it consolidates a little bit. You get the Chico line to break below the area of consolidation, and then you look to get in under the bar that gives you that, which would be that. And what I do is, like here when you get a new low, what I would do is I would move my line to under that bar, the new low area here, and then look for the Chico line to break below that. So you get that there, you could get in under that bar there, and then away you go. So there are many, many more examples on this 1-point range chart today. But what I'd like to show you are some examples on some of the larger chart frames, time frames, on either tick and 2-minute, 5-minute, etc. All right, so we're just going to stick with the NQ, but you can get the idea. You can look at it on everything. So here we get closed outside the cloud, actually one bar over, right there, and you could look to take that. If it fits your plan, to take it off. This is 633 tick chart on the NQ, and then I would just be looking for the area that held here pre-market, and then if it can get through that, then I would be looking at the 3500 area. So you can see it would require a larger stop, but you're able to sit in it and ride it all the way down. And if you get the webinar recording, you'll also see that we went over the slinky. That's a setup off this larger tick chart, and you can check that out. Here we get a close above our super trend dots, so technically that would be a slinky, but not one that we're interested in because we're under this pink line, this Kijun line. And again, if you get to watch the webinar, you'll see how you can use these in conjunction with each other. So nothing to really do there. Even if you were interested, it wouldn't have triggered. Here we get closed below our super trend dots, and you could take that and write it down. So you could see this area here of support forming on the bigger chart, just like you did on the smaller chart. This of course occurs a little bit later, but you could watch for a Chico line breakdown on the larger tick chart, time chart, whatever you like. So you can see the area of support created here. You can see you get the Chico line breakdown here below support, and this would actually be the bar that gives you that. So you can enter in under that bar and again ride it all the way down. Here we get another area of consolidation, but notice our Chico line at the time that we're getting that consolidation, it never breaks support. So there's no entry anywhere here because support keeps holding. And again, I have to remind you that the Chico line is showing 26 periods behind. So everything that you see here, like when I'm looking at price right here, this is where the Chico line is. So I'm showing you this after the fact, so you can't really tell, but I'll show you what I mean, how it forms in just a moment. Here we actually get a close above our super trend dots for a slinky buy, and even though it is, let me just get rid of some of these lines here so you can see. Even though it's under the cloud, what looks interesting about that is at the time over here the Chico line is above price, and we've got the cloud right there above our head, so you can use the cloud as your target area. So that's another way that you're able to use the Ichimoku indicators. Then here you can see that it's consolidating sideways. We actually get a slinky setup here at 10:53. You enter a sell order under this bar here and it triggers on the next bar. You have to wait it out before it finally drops, but nonetheless it does work out. That's also where you get a close outside the cloud. Or you can just wait it out, because when you look to the left you can see that you've got some resistance created earlier here in that area. So you can watch for a Chico line breakdown in this area here. So when price is breaking this white line that I drew where this arrow is, this is where the Chico line is. It's breaking that area of our white line. Bar here is not closed outside the cloud, so you may decide to wait to get in a bar later. So then you get in under this bar and then you look to the left and you'd expect price to hold this area of support, and you're pleasantly surprised when it keeps on going. You could also take a Chico line breakdown in this area of support right here, where I've got this white line drawn at 73.75, because we know that it's held back here many times from this morning, from like 10:15 to 10:30. So what you could do is watch for the Chico line, the blue line, to break that. At the time that it's breaking there, this is the bar that's closing below our line here. So you could enter in under this bar here. That's the way I enter. Some people will, just get in, or they'll use a moving average for price to trade back to. I have always traded by getting in a tick above or below the setup bar. So that's how I like to do it. And you can do it any way that you like. And then you got another slinky here. Doesn't trigger. And again, I'm not going to go over that right now. Just watch the webinar recording if you're interested. But let me show you on some of the larger time frame charts now. So this is a 2-minute chart, and right here at 9:34 you get a close outside the cloud, and you could always enter in above that bar there, and it does work out. On the larger charts you're going to want to use larger targets because it's going to require a larger stop. And then here you get closed outside the cloud on the downside, but you're not likely going to be interested in that unless you're willing to take it right on the close from Friday. If you are, then you'd be looking at the pivot point area as a possible area where you get hung up, and then again you're pleasantly surprised when it keeps going. So I don't trade when price trades back to the cloud and bounces off of it. Like, I just don't find them as reliable. But that's not to say that you couldn't find a way to confirm. But what I do want to show you here is, remember I said that the Chico line is always forming 26 periods behind price. So this is how it looks in real time. Here's the price bar that's forming, and then here's where the Chico line is. So that's why when I'm showing you these examples, the Chico line is always circled, about 26 bars behind price. Okay? So let's show you on another time frame. So this is a 5-minute, and you get closed outside the cloud, right on the first 5-minute bar. And you could always enter in above that and use your targets, whatever you decide those to be. Here you get closed outside the cloud on the downside. Just keep in mind that the cloud right there is pretty narrow, and when price is just going sideways within support and resistance, you're going to find that that's when the cloud is plotting on the narrow side. What you could have done here is you could have opted to maybe do a Chico line breakdown. You've got this area of support created here pre-market, and what you could do is watch for the Chico line to break down below that, which that would be right here. And this is the bar that is giving that to you right here at, what time is that? 9:45. Keep in mind we have news at 10, so I don't know whatever your trading plan requires on news. But you could enter in under this bar here. Then your stop would be above that same bar that gets you in. So you would never be stopped out on this little retracement and then it goes. And you could do the Chico line breaks on the larger charts as well. Now, obviously today is a nice strong trending day, so it's going to look a little different when you have a really sideways choppy day. If you have a really sideways choppy day, then you're going to want to be aware of where some of those support resistance areas are when you're taking a trade, okay? And here's a 10-minute chart. You get closed outside the cloud here on the top side. Again, keep in mind how narrow the cloud is. But nonetheless, you get it. It doesn't trigger. Here on the downside, it closes outside the cloud, and it doesn't trigger on the very next bar either. But you could opt to do, like we were talking about earlier, you could do a Chico line breakdown, or you could opt to do a Chico line breakdown under this area right here. So when the Chico line breaks below that line, this is the bar that is giving it to you, and it actually closes below, so you can go ahead and put a sell order in under that bar there. So it's just over and over again on any size chart that you're interested in trading. Just keep in mind, the bigger the chart, the bigger the stop, but also the bigger the targets. And the smaller the chart, the more noise there is, okay? So just a few things that you might find helpful there. And again, I will leave the webinar recording up for a few more days, so if you're interested, definitely go ahead and take advantage, okay? So have a great day, you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.